Good morning.
Morning.
So our news release that we sent out yesterday stated that we are conducting routine surveillance for West Nile virus. We do that every summer. And 2 of our locations came back positive for virus, and this is in mosquito pools. So that means that the virus has been identified in mosquitoes in Richland County at 2 different locations. One was in the St. Andrews area and one is in the Forest Acres area. The main thing we want to emphasize to citizens is that we're a small, dedicated group at Vector Control, so we're going to need the citizens to help out. We need you to take personal protective measures, such as wearing repellents. Keep an eye out for any dead birds that you may see. For their personal protective measures, wear repellent, light color clothes, try to stay inside when mosquitoes are most active. If they see any standing water on their property, it would be fantastic for them to turn the water containers over. If you have somebody in the neighborhood that may be having some difficulty, maybe they have long shifts, work night jobs or whatever, or maybe they're elderly or not able to get around really well, you guys work together in your communities and help each other out and try to empty all those water holding containers. Not only will that help you with tiger mosquitoes, this will also help you, the Culex mosquitoes that are most commonly associated with disease transmission will also lay eggs in containers as well. So that will also help with disease control, okay? We are conducting spray missions at night. We've already done at least 2. We've got another one going out tonight. We're covering not just the area where the viral activity was found, but any of the surrounding area as well. Does anybody have questions?
How many square miles is that you're covering with spraying and different things?
Oh my goodness.
In general area, St. Andrews and Forest Acres. Talk about the general area. How many miles you think, or how many area? How large of an area you're spraying?
Okay, so our target is normally about a 2-mile radius. Okay. Concentrated in the 1-mile buffer zone, but out to 2 miles is the primary focus, but we are getting a little further out than that.
In years past, have we found, I know we found West Nile recently in a few summers past maybe, but how many years have we seen one of these, either West Nile or Zika or in mosquitoes in Richland County?
Okay, in Richland County and West Nile, we'll start with that one. West Nile, I think, first showed up in Richland County around 2003, and we've had a couple of light summers where it was not too bad, but we had heavy West Nile since 2012, I believe. That was a really big season for us. Last year was a really busy season for us. This year's just starting up. As far as Zika and dengue and the other types of mosquito-borne viruses, we have not had local transmission of those. However, we have had imported cases. I did not have any reported imported cases of Zika last year. Whenever we do receive a response from DHEC telling us that there is a human case of viral incident, we respond to those things immediately and treat and check everything in the vicinity to try to ensure that the local mosquitoes do not become infected from whoever the person was that brought it in. And that is only the case with something like Zika or dengue, where a person can carry enough virus in their body to infect the mosquitoes. West Nile does not work that way, okay? All these viruses work very differently. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you mentioned in the press release looking at dead birds, and if you see one that doesn't look like it's been killed by another, whether it's been hit by a car or attacked by an animal, what's the importance of trying to find dead birds, and how does that help you?
Okay, the dead birds help us by acting as an early indicator for the virus. So in addition to the mosquito pools, the birds are out there all the time, and birds do react. Different birds are more susceptible to virus than others. And so initially, the first few calls that you would hear when West Nile first showed up, they were looking for blue jays and crows primarily. However, that has expanded because now there are over 200 different birds that can be found carrying West Nile. So what happens is occasionally the bird will succumb to West Nile virus, and you will find it will look like it just fell out of the sky or dropped out of the tree into your yard. And when you find that, then that's when we need to know. That's why it's important, because if it looks like an animal got a hold of it, then the animal probably did get a hold of it. If it looked like it flew into the glass of your glass door or your window, it probably broke its neck, because there are birds that will do territorial things, and that happens. That's not uncommon. But if it looks like it just fell out of the sky or out of a tree for no apparent reason, we want to know, because that can give us an early indication that maybe there is virus in the area. Now, we have a very small staff. We do try to help people that have difficulty getting the birds submitted to DHEC, because DHEC is the ones that run the test, not us. We do help citizens get the birds submitted to DHEC for testing. However, like I said, we have a small group, so if the citizens are able to submit it to DHEC, that would be helpful. The information for that is on the DHEC website, and I believe Beverly may have provided that information in the link to you all for the bird process, and it tells which office in DHEC can take the birds for lab submittal. So that's primarily why we're trying to do that. It acts as an early indicator.
How can a person distinguish between a regular mosquito bite or what are the symptoms of this?
What are the symptoms for West Nile? Okay, so West Nile is a little tricky. Some people will have absolutely no symptoms whatsoever, and they could just be what they call asymptomatic, no symptoms, and be perfectly fine and not show any outward effects. However, there are other instances where people can be affected, and they will have a fever. They'll feel like they have the flu in the summertime. That's the easiest way to describe it. If you start feeling like you have the flu in the summertime, it'd be a good idea to go to the doctor and get checked out. A lot of vector-borne diseases, such as tick-borne diseases and mosquito diseases, they will all kind of come across that same way. You feel like you have the flu in the summer. If you found a tick on you, tell the doctor you found a tick on you so they can check you for tick-borne illness, or they can start you on a course of antibiotics. If it's a mosquito, then the only way they can treat it is symptoms. They just support the symptoms. So they'll help you with fever reducer, just keeping comfortable, staying as comfortable as possible. There's not a shot or something that somebody can get as a preventive, unless you're a horse owner. If you own horses, then there are vaccines for horses for West Nile and Triple E, which is Eastern Equine Encephalitis. So horse owners do need to get their animals vaccinated according to the schedule, and that will protect their horses, because horses are susceptible to both of those diseases.
Is this early in the season to find West Nile disease in the area, or is it, how do you expect the rest of the summer to be?
Okay, so West Nile virus, I said it initially arrived in 2003. It has been around off and on since then. It seems to have a stronger foothold now. It's not going away, so we need to protect ourselves. Typically, we start to see an increase in activity about mid-July. The sample that we got positive was from a couple of weeks ago, so end of May, early July is when the mosquitoes went positive. So this is not really unusually early. This is about the right time of year that you would normally see it. And it's just the way the virus works through the environment. That's just the nature of it. That's why it tends to show up about this time of year.
Do you know if people in the past have been infected with West Nile in the area?
They have. There have been people that have been infected. Some people will develop something called neuroinvasive form of the disease. So instead of just stopping at feeling the flu-like symptoms, some of it can become more severe, and it can cause what we refer to as neuroinvasive, which causes them to have paralysis, affects their nervous system, and it can have very debilitating effects long-term. So some people never fully recover. Some people will take years to recover before they get back to themselves.
And that's happened here in Richland County?
Yes, it has.
Do you have any statistics on how many people or what years?
I know of at least 2 people. I can't remember the exact years. One was several years ago, and one has only been in the last 2 or 3. And it has affected older people and younger people. So, and I've had reports of human cases where there have been multiple human incidents of West Nile, but only 2 that I know of that were fairly severe. We have been fortunate there have been no fatalities yet, but there are deaths from West Nile. That's not impossible. It can happen, and it has happened elsewhere in the state.
Is there any way to tell if a mosquito bite is from a viral mosquito from the outside? Do the bites look the same? Or?
That's a very good question. No, you cannot tell. I work with school groups and try to explain to the children that if you think about your classmates and you don't know if your classmate has a virus or not, and they can come to school and be part of the group and you can't tell that they're infected, and then all of a sudden everybody starts getting sick. Okay, so that's the same sort of thing with mosquitoes. You can't tell. And the mosquito itself, even if it has the virus, it's not like the birds that are going to become sick and die like that. The mosquitoes will have the virus, but they are the vector. They're the carrier of that disease, and so they're designed to survive and be able to transmit it.
Is it transmittable from human to human contact, or is it strictly through mosquitoes?
West Nile is strictly through mosquito bites.
Talk about the activity for mosquitoes. Usually early in the morning, like sunrise, and they're obviously more around dusk time. Talk about the feeding habits of the mosquito, and when people really need to be prepared, and with sprays or long pants or long sleeves, and be ready for the mosquito attack.
All right. So primarily, Culex mosquitoes follow the typical pattern of early morning and early evening activity. They can be active throughout the night, but primarily they have peaks around dusk and first thing in the morning. And so when we're conducting our spray missions, we'll encounter joggers and people walking dogs early in the morning, because the fact that we're trying to do treatment in urban areas, that's why we go out after midnight. There's way too much activity before midnight in the urban areas of Richland County for us to be able to run a spray truck properly, because we have to stop all the time because everybody's out. This is an active town. We need for people, though, when they see us, to go inside. The last couple nights ago when I was training a new driver, we encountered people in the field, and it's amazing that people will have on dark color clothing out in the dark, and we can't see them until we're right on top of them. And then we'll cut the spray off as soon as we see any people. And the drivers are trained that if they see a car coming, pull over and let the cars go by. And we try not to spray cars. We try not to spray people. So we encourage people to go inside, and that's why our drivers are usually out after midnight in the urban areas. We can go out a little earlier in the rural areas. The tiger mosquitoes are active all day, and tiger mosquitoes have been found carrying West Nile virus, but as to its ability to transmit the virus, we do not know if they're a viable vector for the disease or not. So we try to err on the side of caution and try not to get bit by the tiger mosquitoes as well, and they're active all day. They will come at you anytime, out in the sun. They don't really care. They're very aggressive.
Does the spray have any effect on plants, or if you have a dog or something, should there be any, do you have to let it dry for a while, or is it only?
Okay, so the product that we're using from the truck, it usually dissipates in a matter of minutes. It's out there for just a brief period of time, and depending on weather conditions, that's why it's hard to tell. Sometimes the cloud stays a little better than others, and we get a little longer control. But by the time the sun comes up, the sun breaks down this product very quickly. We're only using about 0.7 ounces per acre. We use equipment that's called ultra low volume. It's specially calibrated so that only 0.7 ounces per acre is needed to kill the mosquitoes. And so that's why we use that particular product. It's not a long-lasting product. It's not like what, if you hire a private company to come and spray your yard, they use something that have longer residual, and that's designed to provide protection for up to 30 days. Our stuff is only designed to kill what's there when we're there, and then it's supposed to dissipate and have no lasting impact in the environment. That's why we select those products.
And so birds are one of the animals to look out for West Nile. Are there other animals?
Not that we're aware of. The birds are the primary indicator that we watch for.
You're spraying. I know the city in the past has done tablets and things of that nature in standing water. Talking about dumping those reservoirs of water in your property tire or whatever. But the city in years past have gone out. I know have you been working with the city as well as to make sure this in Forest Acres and other areas of the community to make sure this is kind of cohesive and around, make sure it doesn't spread?
Yes, actually, I was in touch with the manager of the city program last Friday as soon as I found out, and was comparing notes with him. And I talked to a couple other city officials yesterday about some of the treatments and coordinating treatments. As far as the treating catch basins, one of the sites where we know has a history of showing up positive, we were able to have 2 staff members focus on doing what we call catch basin treatments, where they treated every single catch basin in the vicinity for at least a 1-mile radius. So we tried to do catch basin treatment. Like I said, we're short on personnel. We're having difficulty. We're trying to get out and do additional catch basin treatments, but we're doing everything we can with our group. So we're spread between doing larviciding of any natural breeding sites, responding to calls, the catch basin work, obviously, and they're also sharing turns in the spray trucks. So
You're busy, I understand.
well, they're kind of a jack of all trades.
Would you recommend somebody to hire an independent mosquito type treaters to do your yard to make sure, if you want to make sure your community, your area, your property is safe, would you recommend contacting these folks to help you out?
If citizens are concerned and they would like some additional assistance and they want to make sure that their property is treated, then by all means they can contact whichever company they are most comfortable with. Whoever offers whatever they would like, then by all means, yeah, they can contact and work with the private companies.
Can you tell me specific areas and streets that you're spraying for and when you're treating them? So I know you're going out tonight, and you said you've been out twice already.
We have been out twice already. I cannot give you the specific sites where the trapping and that type of stuff is working. If you want to know a broader range, I can tell you that so far we have treated from the Elm Abode area all the way up to the St. Andrews area. We have treated all of Forest Acres. They're going to be working further on the Broad River corridor, working as far up as they can go.
How do you initially find West Nile and mosquitoes? Do you trap them?
We do. We run gravid traps, or where these samples came from, or gravid. They're specifically known as Ryder-Cummings gravid traps. So if you wanted to see what a picture of it looks like, that's what you could Google, Ryder-Cummings. It's REITER -CUMMINGS. Those are the types of traps that we are using, and they're designed to collect mosquitoes that are about to lay eggs. That's what gravid means. Those have been our most effective traps at capturing West Nile mosquitoes. These sites were selected because there is a history behind them. And so we trap at specific sites because we know that we've seen West Nile at those areas in the past, and so we use them as monitors to kind of help us see if it comes up again, give us an early indication.
How big of a threat is it right now with the public? Is it something obviously you're making us aware of it, be mindful of how you're doing things, be prepared early morning, evening, but how big of a threat is this? It's about the right time, it's average.
Yeah, it's about the right time, but the problem is people have become complacent, and that's my concern. I don't want people to be complacent and not take it seriously. I don't like for people to panic, but they need to respect the fact that this disease is serious, and the reason that we're here is to try to protect public health, and we want the citizens to do their share and help us so that we can help them to protect their own health.